What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Now today, hey, we got this channel Curse something again, but we just call him Curse over here. We go, what happens if we bring the sun to Earth? Now, firstly, I would imagine that we all get burnt into crisp, dirt, whatever you want to call it. But hey, I've actually put a lot of these guys' videos in my recommended, so I've got plenty of these to go through. I loved the one that I reacted to the other week. Funny thing is, I actually watched that video literally again in my own spare time, because I thought it was pretty cool. But hey, let's not waste any more time, let's get into it!
If you were to bring a tiny piece of the sun to Earth.
That would be pretty cool.
Short answer, you die.
Oh, never
Long
mind.
answer, it depends which piece of the sun.
Oh.
Like most of the matter in the universe, our sun is neither solid, liquid, or gas, but plasma.
Yeah.
Plasma is when stuff is so hot that the nuclei and electrons can separate and flow around freely, which creates a goo-like substance. So you can imagine our sun as an extremely big, spherical ocean of very hot goo. The deeper you go, the denser and weirder the goo becomes. So let's bring...
Alright, now we're going to go back for a second, guys. I want you to do something real quick with me. Alright. So I want you guys to close your eyes during this part and just listen to what he says. Close your eyes.
Sun as an extremely big, spherical ocean of
Just
very
wait.
hot goo. The deeper you
Now.
go, the denser and weirder the goo becomes.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
let's-
shit, if you could not see what he was talking about, you could think he's, we're on a different website right here.
Bring 3
That's all.
samples, each the size of a house, to our lab here on Earth and see what happens.
Bro, you just said we would burn, no? Alright, here's the man, Curses. Alright,
First sample, the chromosphere.
the chromosphere.
The chromosphere is the atmosphere of the sun, a layer of sparse gas up to 5,000 kilometers deep that's covered in a forest of plasma spikes that can be almost as big as Earth.
Damn.
It's pretty hot here, between 6,000 and 20,000 degrees Celsius, but if we brought a sample of it to Earth, we're not really getting our money's worth. In the area where we take our sample, the chromosphere is over 1 million times less dense than air, so compared to our atmosphere at sea level, it's basically the same as bringing the vacuum of space down to Earth.
Ah.
The moment
So
our
nothing.
sample arrives, it would immediately be crushed by Earth's atmospheric pressure and implode. Air would rush to fill the vacuum and use as much energy as 12 kilograms of TNT in the process. This creates a high-pressure shockwave which shatters glass, ruptures eardrums, and maybe some internal organs.
Damn.
If you're standing too close, it could kill you.
Damn.
So you'd better keep your distance.
What?
Let's go deeper. Second
That's what
sample,
she said.
the
Let's go.
photosphere. Beneath the chromosphere is the glowing surface of the sun, the photosphere, which produces the light we see. It's covered in a grid of 1 million hotspots called granules, each of them about as big as the United States and over 5,000 degrees Celsius. These granules are the tops of convective columns, churning gas that brings the heat up from the center of the sun to its surface. In these columns, a few hundred kilometers down, we take our second plasma sample. It has about the same pressure as our atmosphere on Earth. Though still much less dense than air, its heat supports it, so it won't implode.
Okay, let's bring
Our
it.
sphere now carries twice as much energy,
Oh, never mind.
as much as 25 kilograms of TNT, but this time as heat.
Never mind
For a
then.
dazzling
Shit.
instant, this plasma would glow with 1 million times the brightness of the sun seen from Earth, instantly lighting fires throughout our lab. But a few milliseconds later, those fires are all that's left. The plasma has cooled to harmless gas, floating up from the flaming ruins.
Bro, what the hell is
What
that
if we
penguin
go
doing?
deeper? Third sample, the radiative
The
zone.
radiative zone. Okay.
Here, the plasma is about
Here we
2
go.
million degrees Celsius and so dense and tightly packed that it creates a sort of maze for itself.
Why am I-
Energy in the form of photons tries to escape, but has to
Oh.
wander for hundreds of thousands of years, bouncing endlessly from particle to particle until it eventually finds an exit.
Ooh.
Bringing matter from here to our lab is what experts call a very bad idea. As soon as it
Why?
arrives in our lab, the extreme pressure that holds the plasma tightly together is gone,
Oh.
and the material explodes with the power of a thermonuclear weapon. Our lab, as well as the city around it, will be destroyed in an instant.
Oh.
On the bright side, there won't be any radioactive fallout.
Hey, that's alright.
With our lab
Let's get it
destroyed,
done.
we can abandon the illusion that we're trying to do any science today. what if we go much, much deeper?
Okay, that sounds interesting.
Last
the
sample,
core.
the core. Here in the central 1% of the star, we find a third of the Sun's mass. The matter here is compressed by the weight of the entire star above it. In the center of the core, the temperature is 15 million degrees, hot enough to make helium by smashing together hydrogen, powering the Sun by nuclear fusion. In billions of years after the death of the Sun, this core will remain as a white dwarf. If we brought a sample of it to Earth, it would cause a lot of inconvenience.
Certain death.
The biggest nuclear weapon ever detonated had an energy of 40 megatons of
The
TNT,
Tsar bomb.
or a cube the size of the Empire State Building.
Yeah.
Our sample has the equivalent of 4,000 megatons.
Oh.
This
oh.
is 4 billion tons of TNT, or a cube 1.3 kilometers high.
Bro, that's...
To give you a sense of scale, this is the cube inside Manhattan.
All
Once
right,
the sphere
let's
arrives on
let's
Earth,
get it done.
this super dense matter expands instantly and creates an explosion with the force of, well, the Sun.
The Sun, yeah. Hey, I got that
If
one
we
right.
get the
Look at
sample
me.
in Paris in the morning, the citizens of London would see what looks like a second sunrise.
Really?
But one that gets brighter and brighter and hotter until London burns to ashes.
Oh.
In a radius of about 300 kilometers around the blast, everything would be burnt. The shockwave would travel around the Earth multiple times. Most buildings in Central Europe would be flattened, eardrums would rupture, and windows break across the continent. The explosion
See,
would
now look, in Australia, I feel like we're pretty far away where we might not feel it. So, look, if you want to try it, you can give it a crack. Just make sure I'm
be
nowhere in the blast zone,
apocalyptic,
please.
possibly human civilization ending.
Damn, nah, that's not happening.
If humans did survive, we could count on the dust blown into the atmosphere to create a small ice age.
Oh, that sucks.
So, if there is one tiny bright side,
Yo!
it would be that the explosion might be an effective way to control human-caused climate change for a few decades.
Is that the Ice
While
King?
this is definitely a good thing, all in all, we conclude that we should not try to bring the Sun to Earth.
Hey, and that's as simple as I guess it gets. Do not bring the Sun to Earth. Look, I'll figure that out later, in a later date. Me and Elon Musk, we'll sort that one out and we'll see what we want to do. But, hey, that's going to cap it off. It's only went for 5 minutes, and that was actually pretty quick. So, hey, if there, whichever certain ones by this guy I need to check out, give me, like, send me the links, because I've checked out, well, I've got about 10 in my list from this exact guy that we'll check out over the course of the next year or whatever. But hey, that will cap it off. I hope everyone enjoyed, and I'll see everyone in the next one.